Crank it up, let it roll. Stars and stripes in my soul. Steel toes on, boots in the gravel. Heartland truth on every channel. Open Bible, flag on the wall. We say what we believe or we don't talk at all. This is red, white, and raise hell. Cowboy hat, church bell can't scare us into silence. We were born to rebel from the back road to the beltway. We won't fade, we won't fail. Proud, loud, standing tall. Red, white, and raise hell. We back the bad, we guard the border. We love our guns and law and order. They try to shame every word we say, but we don't bow down, we just press play. This is red, white, and raise hell. Cowboy hat, church bell can't scare us into silence. We were born to rebel from the back road to the bell. Hey, we won't fade, we won't fail. Proud, loud, standing tall. Red, white, and raise hell. You can cancel the show, but not the crowd. We're still here, still talking loud. Hand of the free on every spell. Hit that mic, host, let the truth ring out. This is red, white, and raised hell. Cowboy hat, church bell can't scare us into silence. We were born to rail from the back road to the beltway. We won't fade, we won't fail. Proud, loud, standing tall. Red, white, and raised hell.
All righty. Good morning to you. Thank you so much, everybody, for getting together with us today. It's a Thursday morning, 19th morning, according to my flip calendar, of the third month in the year of our Lord 2026. Decided to go Charlie style today. Don't know why. Every so often, just hits. Want to flex and remind everybody of what that stands for. And what it stands for this show, too, faith, family, and freedom. It is all about it. That's what we are all about. Wild day yesterday. Really wild day. In Washington, interesting day in Columbus, too. We got a lot of stuff to work through today. Yesterday's wild day was in large part because of, holy cow, back-to-back guests. That's like 4 home runs in a row. We had 4 great guests on yesterday. John Pleshnik talking property taxes with us. I didn't get a chance to get the feed or the feedback or the feel from a lot of the folks on the chat yesterday while I was doing that conversation for obvious reasons. Then I dove right into my chat with Congressman Jordan. Then I dove right into the chat with Marcel Sturbich. Then I dove right into the chat with Daniel Greenfield. So I want to catch up on what you guys had to say yesterday. So that'll be a big part of this morning. I'm going to get into the chat room early, but there's a lot of work going on too. And we got to keep up with in Washington. Obviously, the SAVE Act is in, extended debate has begun in the Senate. Whether or not we'll have the juice to be able to push through this whole thing and get it through or not, I guess is unknown. I'll be honest with you, it's not really unknown. I think it's destined to fail unless something drastic happens. The question is will the Senate parliamentarian allow drastic to happen? We'll talk about what that means very shortly. So yesterday we bombarded you with 4 guests. Today we are guest free. So it's going to be a lot of time for you and me to kind of communicate in the chat a little bit. If you're watching live, I've said this before, if you're watching live on Facebook or on YouTube right now, do me a favor. It's cool. And I appreciate that, watching it anywhere you can. But if you're watching and you want to engage, you got to migrate over to the Rumble channel. And yeah, it's legal migration, not illegal. I don't think it's an illegal. There's an illegal way to do it, I guess. So it kind of doesn't really matter. But you understand the point. I do want you to come on over to the Rumble channel if you can possibly make that happen. There, the screen's a little bit bigger now. Because that's where all the chatter's hang, and that's where the most comments are going to be after, if you're watching this later on as well. So I want to engage with you on these things. So please, by all means, use the tools available to us. 19th morning. Oh, and even most importantly, when you get over to the Rumble channel and you watch it there, you'll see a join button, a red join button underneath me right now. Just look for it. Go under there and click join and join us in the locals community. It's free. They're still enjoying videos and special first looks that other people are not. Talking about the locals community that are paid subscribers and supporters. They get interviews and they get content that nobody else gets until later, usually around 24 hours later. If at all. So there are going to be special things happening for our Unfiltered insiders coming up as well, including get-togethers. Our last get-together was the ICE party, the Frontline Freedom Festival, which was incredible. Had a really, really great time with the folks doing that 2 Fridays ago now. And we have other things coming up. 19th morning, third month. Our motivational quote of the day. Many of life's failures are men who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. I'm telling you, I draw something from that every single day and have every day for the last number of years that I've had that calendar. It's perpetual. So, I don't want anybody to give up on the SAVE Act, but boy, oh boy, it does look like there are a lot of obstacles in the way. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. If you took a look at the title of today's episode, it is about the SAVE Act, among other things. And I want to dive into it. Let me check into the chat room here and dive into that too and see who's up early and at it. Looks like KC John beat everybody into the house today. KC John, good morning, my friend. B. Morgan in early. Reminding everybody to, pass the Save America Act. It's technically, it's just the SAVE Act, because it's called SAVE, Save American Voting Elections. Not vote. Now I can't remember what the acronym is, so I'll shut up about it. I think it's Stop. I can't remember it now. It's freaking me out. I mean, you guys want to save me on this? How about Save Me from the SAVE Act acronym? Put it up there if you have it. Anyway, pass the Save America Act. I know America's the second, or American. Call the senators and encourage them to keep up the fight on the Senate floor today. Amen. B. Morgan, amen to that. Sally is in early. Good morning. So glad Ohio passed Senate Bill 63 that bans ranked choice voting. Thank you. And not only did they pass it, Mike DeWine, believe it or not, did something right for a change and actually signed it. So indeed, that is good news. Ranked choice voting is a joke. Ranked choice voting is just a recipe for cheating elections. It confuses people, and it is confusing. And I understand elections. I mean, to a degree, I feel like I got a pretty good grip on it. Ranked choice voting is a mess. Rather than choosing who you want to be in the office, you've got to rank them in order. I like this one the best, this one second best. My third choice, if I had to make one, would be this. You know, in a lot of elections, there is only one. I don't want any of the other freaks to get in. But the way it works is you rank them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever, and then they tally up. Not just the first place votes, but the second place. If nobody gets over 50%, then they go down to the second place votes and third place, and then they add those things up. And somebody who might not get the most first place votes can end up winning with the number of second and third and fourth place votes that they get until somebody gets over 50%. It's a disaster. It's only done in a few backward states, and Ohio should not be one of them. So I'm glad that got banned and that Biden actually, not Biden. Do I love that? I just compared him to Joe Biden. And now, you know what? And that's his fault. It's his fault that I made that mistake, because you know what? You govern like him a little bit, you're going to slip and call him that name sometimes. All right, let's see. What else do I got going on? Who else is in here early this morning? And there's my auto quote, and there it is. I cannot stand it. There it is again on Facebook, the auto quote that I never automated to post. It's beyond frustrating, and I still don't know how to change that. I don't know how to make it stop posting that. Let's see, what else do we have here? Yeah, B. Morgan, that's good advice. Pray for our troops and for President Trump. Absolutely. What else do we have going on? Hockey player Mike is in. Good morning to you. Charlie is in. Joanne is in. Good morning to you. Let's start the morning hailing our red, white, and blue. Yeah, and our red, white, and raisin hell, too. That's pretty good. What else do we have here? Roz is in. SRL is in. Dee Dee is in. Jay Percher is in. That's a new name for me. West Sider, good morning. Yeah, give a thumbs up. Look at that. Give it a thumbs up on Rumble. The algorithms love engagement, friends. They love engagement. That's what makes it work. Macromia, good morning. Queen Mother, good morning. Dutchie, good morning. Marty, good morning. Sherbank, good morning. El Keister, good morning. Mike, good morning. Jimbo, cranking it up and letting it roll. Yes, sir. I love it. Every morning he puts that up there. It just means people are into the song that I literally just invented out of nowhere and told AI, make that, and it made that, which is really cool. Good morning, Robin. Nice to see Robin here. Donna, I see you, Donna. Good morning to you as well as Mike. Number one, Rhino is up and at it. God's still on the throne. Yeah, always and forever. Lindy, good morning. Those are supposed to be flag emojis, but obviously sometimes they just come out in text. Therese, nice crowd here today. Ranked choice is a path of centrist minority control. It's destroying Europe. I think Canada does it too. Then the centrists end up going left out, violent intimidation. Not quite sure about that last part of the sentence, but I agree with the sentiment. Indeed, ranked choice voting is not the way to go. Jodo, new name for me, which is good. Jorge or George, depending on how you are pronouncing that. I love it. New faces, new names, or unless similar people using new handles. But I love it. Welcome in, everybody. It's good to have you here. So there's a lot of stuff to get in today. I titled today's episode, well, I didn't title it, but I basically threw it up there. This is what we're talking about today: the fight to pass the SAVE Act, and the Democrats continuing to defund DHS. Oh, hang on. I got to get that last comment off of there. Get it out of our way. Democrats choosing to defund DHS in favor of and in deference to illegal aliens. It's what they do. And Hack Jeffries is at it again, screaming about how ICE is the problem. And they would rather sacrifice American lives and spill American blood than do what is right by allowing ICE and allowing law enforcement to enforce laws that are on the freaking books. We have law enforcement agents out there enforcing them, and these idiots are defunding Homeland Security at a time of terrorist threats and sleeper cell activation going on. So we got all of that for you, a lot of audio that we're going to get into. And we are going to start with the SAVE Act. Mike Lee has been the champion so far. Mike Lee is the senator from Utah, and he's been the guy who's been making the most noise about getting rid of zombie filibusters and allowing a full-throated, extended debate on the floor, hoping that we can outlast the Democrats. Because how long can they actually stand up there and look at the American people in the eye and tell them for hours and hours and hours on end that illegal aliens and non-citizens should be able to vote? Let's hear it. Let's hear their argument. You can't chant Jim Crow 2.0 for hours. You have to do some explaining, and they can't. And so this is a big deal. Mike Lee is kind of, like I said, leading the way here. And then, of course, we get into the voter ID part, where you have to actually show your identification in order to vote. So Mike Lee, yesterday, laying out the truth about all of this. Let's touch off the conversation with Senator Lee from Utah. Based Mike Lee. By the way, what a great handle. I don't know if any senator has a better handle than that. Based Mike Lee. Here's what he says.
In nearly every state in the union, you can apply for a driver's license as a non-citizen. And in 19 states plus the District of Columbia, you may freely get a driver's license even if you were a known illegal immigrant. Meanwhile, between 2021 and 2025, we had between 10 and 15 million people enter this country unlawfully. And so this is a gaping risk when states not only are not seeking to verify citizenship, but they are prohibited by law from doing so, so long as they use this particular procedure to register to vote. We've got a massive problem. Meanwhile, Americans overwhelmingly, like between 80 and 85% of them across this great country, believe that basic protections like voter ID are necessary, that they are common sense. There are countries all over the world that require this, and you have to show an ID when you do all sorts of things, many of which involve the United States government. For example, applying for veterans benefits, for Social Security benefits. Or when you board an airplane, you've got to show them to federal officials, TSA officers. You've got to show who you are and that you're entitled to be where you want to be and do the thing that you want to do.
I'm going to replay part of that, but not before I give you another example. I went to Drug Mart. I always go to Drug Mart. Best pharmacy, best place. By the way, I should probably send them a rate card. Get them on as sponsors of this podcast. Michelle, hook me up, huh? Anyway, I went to Drug Mart to get some pseudoephedrine. I get that's the generic Sudafed. If you get a little head cold, you get a little bit of stuffiness, you get a little bit of sore throat or whatever. Sure, no problem. And then they asked me for my driver's license. What? Yeah, you got to swipe it. My driver's license? Don't you mean my credit card? No, your driver's license. Why? Junkies make meth out of it. I didn't know that. I mean, I have known that for a little while now, but what does that have to do with me? Well, the government likes to track how much pseudoephedrine you're buying, because it can be used to make methamphetamines, and that's illegal. Oh, so the government wants to track my head cold medication because junkies use that medicine to make junk, to make drugs. And you're making me show a driver's license in order to buy that head cold medicine? The racist bastards. How dare they? Don't they know? Don't they know how hard it is for people of color to obtain a driver's license? I mean, those racists, do you know how many black people are running around right now with stuffy heads and sore throats? Because they obviously can't get pseudoephedrine. They can't get it. I mean, and you know what? It is just so racist, so like the racists in our government to make people suffer through terrible nasal, post-nasal drip and scratchy throats by making them show driver's licenses to get the medication. It's just so crazy. How did they just, if you're, wow. Where are the awfuls? Angry white leftist lunatics, female leftists, AWFL, angry white female leftists who are always they're trying to disenfranchise black voters by making them have a driver's license and show they are who they say they are when they vote, because they hate black people and they don't want black people to vote for Democrats. Black people can't get driver's licenses, And if black people can't get driver's licenses, which is why they're calling the SAVE Act Jim Crow 2.0, then obviously they don't have what it takes to buy a package of Sudafed either. Racist bastards. They want them to be disenfranchised, and they want those evil Republicans want black people to be disenfranchised and to make them have seriously scratchy throats. You understand how freaking stupid this is? That story I just told, by the way, is not a fake story. It was actually several years ago that I kind of first started talking about it, where I was trying to buy some of that pseudoephedrine, and they said, driver's license, and I was like, what? And they had to see photo ID, and it has to be swiped to do exactly what they said, to track, in case somebody's buying mountains of pseudoephedrine and literally, cooking up meth in a lab somewhere. But I thought about it, okay, fine, it's no problem because I have a driver's license. Why? Because I'm an adult and we all have driver's licenses, or if we don't drive, we have state identification, because not only might I have to buy some pseudoephedrine someday, I might actually have to go across the street to the bank and take some cash out, or get some new checks, or deposit my paycheck, or whatever. Among the many different things that we have to. And yes, as Mike Lee just said in that commentary, yes, traveling, you might actually have to get on an airplane, and you might actually have to, you will absolutely have to show you are who you say you are, because they need to know who's on airplanes. Because, we've had some experiences, some things have happened involving airplanes. So we kind of need to know who you are. And oh my gosh, the racist airlines and the racist FAA, they don't want black people to fly. Black people and other people of color who can't get driver's licenses and can't get identifications, because that's what we're told, right? They can't do it. That's why they're being disenfranchised by requiring said identifications to vote. They can't fly either. You will drive. No. You know what it is? Now I just kind of put it all together. Let's put two and two together here. It just dawned on me. They want black people to be sick with scratchy throats, unable to vote, and unable to leave their homes or their hometowns, because you have to have a driver's license to fly, and you have to have a driver's license to drive. And so if you don't have one of those, you can't leave and go anywhere. Otherwise, you're driving without a license. And if you're flying, well, you can't fly without a license. They won't let you on. You can't go vote. And you can't go get something to deal with that nasty head cold of yours either. We could go on and on with all of the things that are, require photo identification, whether it's applying for an apartment to rent or applying for a job. I mean, we could run through the list of things, and that's why it's just so god awful stupid and indeed, yes, racist to suggest that black people don't live normal lives. Black people don't live lives needing a driver's license for all of those things, to purchase alcohol, much less pseudoephedrine. All of those things black people are apparently unable to do according to the left. It is the worst kind of racism, and we need to expose it. And Mike Lee was doing exactly that. So let me play the first part of that again, which of course is the most important part here.
In nearly every state in the union, you can apply for a driver's license as a non-citizen. And in 19 states plus the District of Columbia, you may freely get a driver's license even if you are a known illegal immigrant.
Okay. We let illegal aliens get driver's license. Somehow, by the way, they're able to do it. But black Americans, according to Chuck Schumer and the left, they can't figure it out. They can't figure out how to get to from where they are to the DMV in their community. Or BMV if you prefer. Some people call it Bureau of Motor Vehicles. Some people call it Department of Motor Vehicles, whatever. But apparently black people can't figure that out, but illegal aliens are doing it. And as Based Mike Lee just said, yes, in many states, they are allowing illegal aliens to obtain American driver's licenses, even though they have no business being here. What they ought to do when they show up to register for their driver's licenses is clunk. That's the sound of iron handcuff or iron bracelets, and march them to the border and say, bye-bye, bye-bye, done, gone. Instead, no, many states, and of course, usually sanctuary states, they don't want anybody to know that they're there. They're just giving them their driver's licenses and saying, shh, now go disappear into the ether, disappear into the interior of the United States and let no one find you.
Meanwhile, between 2021 and 2025, we had between 10 and 15 million people enter this country unlawfully. And so this is a gaping risk when states not only are not seeking to verify citizenship, but they are prohibited by law from doing so, so long as they use this particular procedure to register to vote. We've got a massive problem.
And that's it. 1 + 1 is 2, right? They're registering illegal aliens to drive. Then, even if we have photo identification, they can show photos and photo identification, and they can vote because they haven't been made to do the second part of the SAVE Act, which is prove they're citizens when they register. If you have a license, you can register to vote because you don't have to prove that you're a citizen. The SAVE Act makes you prove you are a citizen. That's as common sensible as it gets. And this is what the left is fighting tooth and nail, because they know there are a whole lot of non-citizens whose votes they are counting on. They need those votes. They want those votes. They need those votes. So we're sitting here looking at extended debate on the House floor, as I said, or the Senate floor, as I said. The zombie filibuster. Nope, the talking filibuster. Let's debate this until the Democrats quit. Now, they may not. Republicans have said they are willing to do this thing through the weekend and however long it takes to get this passed. President Trump is telling them do not stop until this is over and we have won. Because when we win this, America wins this. America's elections are safer and more secure. Actually, let me share this one with you. Let me share one of the loons first, then I'll go to one of the reasonable people, which is Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana. This is Democrat Elissa Slotkin. And if you've ever known what projection means, you'll see a living embodiment of it right here. Projection and delusion. There are some serious delusions going on here when she says things like this.
So I would just say, if we ever get to the point where you are being asked to put armed ICE officers at polling locations, we have lost the plot as a country. We have fundamentally lost it. And until I hear someone tell me that this man, President Trump, will actually allow us to have a free and fair election, there is zero trust here, and I cannot trust that he won't try and steal it again.
Just got to kind of let some of those resonate, some of those words bounce off the inside of your skull a little bit, back and forth a few times. She's livid. If we have ICE agents near polling locations, we have lost the plot. Because why would ICE be at polling locations? Could it be because we know and they know that Democrats have illegal aliens, non-citizens, going to polling places and voting? That's the point. And she's saying, if we let that happen, if we let them get arrested, if we let these people get arrested and deported when they're trying to vote for Democrats, we've lost the plot. We got a problem. And then that second part. It's the Republicans who are trying to cheat the elections. The ones who want to make sure only citizens can vote and only people who are who they say they are, proving it by way of that photo identification. It's the Republicans who are cheating and stealing the elections. And we can't have Donald Trump steal another election again, she said.
That this man, President Trump, will actually allow us to have a free and fair election. There is zero trust here, and I cannot trust that he won't try and steal it again. So
again, what did he steal? Help me understand this. What did President Trump steal when she says we can't allow him to steal it again? What, when, where, huh? What? Are you still suggesting that Hillary Clinton won in 2016? Is that what you're saying, that Donald Trump stole an election in 2016? Are we going back to Russia? Are we going back to the hoax that Donald Trump was aided and abetted in stealing an election by the Kremlin? You still want to do that after all of the evidence had been revealed and the phony Hillary Clinton sponsored dossier being used to get a phony warrant to spy on the Trump campaign and to declare President Trump a puppet of Vladimir Putin. You 10 years later, you're still going with that? Holy Nikes. It's Lent. Holy goodness. I don't even know what to call it anymore. I mean, it is just so deep. The pool of lies and disinformation in which these people swim. They're still trying to sell you the 10-year-old lie that Donald Trump stole the first election. And now, because Republicans are trying to secure our elections, it's Donald Trump trying to steal one again. It's the Republicans you can't trust, she says. I mean, these people are just out there. The projection, like I said, is just, it's heavy. So what can we do? Well, let's look at this. This is Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana, who is so good at giving us folksy humor while making fun of radical leftist lunatics testifying before any of his committees in the Senate. John F. Kennedy decided to float a long shot out there yesterday. It is a long shot. And in fact, I've already checked in with the senator to see what its chances are, and let's just say they're not good. But I like the idea. I like thinking outside the box, and I want to see what you think about it. Senator Kennedy says we could use reconciliation. We could use and should use budget reconciliation to pass the SAVE Act. Budget reconciliation requires only a 51% vote, 51 simple majority vote, or 50 plus the vice president. It's the way that the one big beautiful bill got passed. It's through reconciliation. Senator Kennedy laid this out on the Senate floor yesterday, and I want you to watch.
Serious about passing, and I think we are, Mr. President. I know you are. We need to try to pass this legislation through reconciliation. Now, you know how reconciliation works, Mr. President. It means we can pass this bill with 50 Republican votes and the vice president to break the tie. That's how we pass the one big beautiful bill. I would hope to get some of my Democratic friends to support us, but we don't have to have them. That's harder than I described because, as you know, Mr. President, there are parameters on reconciliation. Anything you propose through reconciliation has to be paid for. We can find the money to pay for it. And anything you pass through reconciliation has to conform with the contours of the Budget Control Act. We call that giving a provision a bird bath. And our parliamentarian decides what passes muster under the Budget Control Act and what doesn't. Now, we've got a lot of smart lawyers in the United States Senate. Every single one of them thinks they're Oliver Wendell Scalia. But we got a lot of other smart lawyers in America. Here's what I'm getting at. We have yet to try going to these smart lawyers, some in the Senate and some, believe it or not in the Senate, and saying, craft us a SAVE Act that will pass muster under the Budget Control Act and can be blessed by the parliamentarian. And some of my colleagues, those Oliver Wendell Scalia types, they say, Kennedy, you know, that you'll never be able to do that. They don't know. I've been here 10 years. I've seen things pass muster, survive a bird bath that I didn't think had a hope in hell. And I've seen provisions pass the parliamentarians' judgment under a bird bath that I thought, I've seen them not pass that I thought were slam dunks. You don't know till you try. And we haven't tried. And if this bill is as important as everybody says it is, and I think it is, because we're not just talking about voting, we're talking about the confidence, the trust of the American people in our elections. If this bill is as important as we say it is, we should try it through reconciliation.
So Senator Kennedy is talking about something that is very, very difficult to do. I don't mind at all the outside the box thinking, as I was talking about. I don't mind that at all. But in order for something to go through budget reconciliation, it does have to do in some way, shape, or form with the budget. It has to do with spending. So chances are the SAVE Act would have to be attached to something else, a spending bill of sorts, in order for it to pass, in order for it to be allowed to be put up for a vote through budget reconciliation. And that would mean it would have to clear the Senate parliamentarian. It's just part of the process. So last night, after I heard about Senator Kennedy's plea there saying, hey, let's use reconciliation, budget reconciliation, I, skeptical because of the reasons that I just said. I texted Senator Moreno and I said, Bernie, Kennedy's got an idea here. Can it happen? And Senator Moreno didn't get that until this morning, but shot back quickly and said, no, the Senate parliamentarian will never allow it. So at least in its current form. So he can't just present this. I mean, there are some attachments to this bill already to the Save America Act or SAVE Act. By the way, did any of my chatters rescue me on SAVE, what the actual acronym is? I was asking about it. I don't know if anybody actually ever saved me on it. Oh, here it is. Secure America Voting Act. That's what it was. Secure. Yeah, somebody did. Who did that? Charlie G. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. That's what it is. Secure American. No, wait, voting elections? Secure American voting. That doesn't sound right either. Maybe you saved me. The secure part was right. You nailed that. Is it really Secure America? No. American voting elections. Okay, maybe it is. I don't know. Like I said, I kind of blanked on it and I'm still blanking on it. And I'm not sure if Charlie had it right or not. But the SAVE Act does have other things in it, including no men and women's sports and no more transgender surgeries for minors, things of that nature. So if you made it part of a budget bill, or if you put some spending, riders on that, then it becomes a budget bill of sorts. Or you propose an entirely different spending bill, one that nobody could really oppose, and then attach the SAVE Act to that. Now maybe the Senate parliamentarian would greenlight a vote on that. And then you would only have to pass it with a 50 vote plus the vice president simple majority. Maybe that is something that can be done. But for now, Senator Moreno told me, as it is right now, it would never get past the parliamentarian. They'd never be able to do that. So we have to continue to fight through that. By the way, Lindy, thank you. Love your freedom sweatshirt. I love wearing my white tee. And good man. Mike Adams from CLE 23 in Strongsville provided those free white tees at the Charlie Kirk vigil that was held in Strongsville last year. And he also provided the shirts for us, the Ice Out shirts. Or not the Ice Out, the opposite of that. The I Stand With Ice, as we pushed up against the Ice Out folks at our event 2 Fridays ago. So, and those shirts are still available, by the way. Don't forget. Order them up at bobfrance.com, bobfrance.com. There might be I don't know. We're having a slight glitch with the shipping part of that being activated, but I will get them shipped to you. And if you're ordering them, just put your name in there and we will make it happen. All right, go to bobfrance.com for that. But anyway, I love those shirts too. And I wear this every time I wear it. It is, I don't know. It makes me a little bit, I don't know. It puts me deeper into my thoughts and into my feelings. I do, every time I see this, I think of the moment when Charlie, sacrificed his life. And that's why I wear it. And I'm glad people are recognizing it too. So thank you for that. All right. So that's Senator Kennedy and his idea. I want to know how you feel about it. I'm going to get into the chat here a little bit more. The Secure American Voting Elections Act is what Charlie is calling it. Charlie, again, when the Democrats' mouths are moving, they are lying, talking about Alyssa Slotkin, no doubt. And that is very, very true. Nana Sherry had to show our driver's license when we recently got our taxes done. That's a good point. It's another example, another place. You cannot live without an ID, really. whether it's a driver's license, you don't have to be a driver either. Just, state. And this is the other thing too. That, it costs money to get a driver's license or a state identification. And so that's like a poll tax. If you make people have to go and obtain their driver's licenses or their license, so that's a poll tax, and you're trying to disenfranchise the impoverished, poverty-stricken folks. Who are the most poverty-stricken in the world, and in America in particular? Clearly, it's racial minorities. So you're trying to, again, Jim Crow 2.0, except for the fact that in every state where photo identification is required to vote, if you're at the poverty line or below, you get a free ID. Free. No poll tax. Free. We meet every one of their objections and solve it. And yet still they fight and call it Jim Crow 2.0, trying to gaslight the American people into thinking this isn't possible for people to get their identifications. CMG. Christine loves Drug Mart, so do I. Checking your age. Yeah, that's what it's used for. Especially when you're trying to, buy alcohol or things of that nature. Why do they always leave out the most damaging statement? You need an ID to get food stamps and Medicaid. Roz, ding, 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 ding. Well done, Roz. Oh, no, you know what? I don't have ding, ding, ding. What do I have when somebody says something extraordinarily intelligent? We say something along the lines of, it's weird. Anytime I push that button, the cut and can is cut out the first time you play it. If I play it a second time, it's there. I don't know. It is what it is. And that's okay. Because the point that was made was a great one. And thank you for that. Let's see. Buckeye Therese. What does Buckeye Therese say? All right, that was Charlie. Hold on a second. I think I lost my place here. Wow, you guys have been very, very active. I'm scrolling way back up to get where I was on the chat, on the live chat right now. There's Nana Sherry, and where did there it is. That's Roz's statement, and she's right, and it's a great point. Democrats love to suck up off of the the government for every single subsidy they can possibly get. And guess what? If you are trying to get those subsidies, you have to show identification. So you already have it. That's a great point. Jimbo, Senator needs to get up on the floor and play Schumer's speech with supporting voter ID from 30 years ago, by the way. It's 1996. 30 years ago, he made that speech. Shooting around online. Yeah, I played it on yesterday's show. Let voters know the flip-flop and TDS. No, you're not wrong. And I'm sure somebody will probably do that. Let's see. There are meth heads. Junkie refers to opiates. What's the difference? A junkie, a drug junkie, a drug addict. I just call him a junkie. All right. Let's see. Good morning, Meg Marie. Just getting a job. Oh, wait, that's right. The left doesn't work. That's why they all have this time to obstruct. Protest. Yeah, you need an ID if you're going to apply for a job and to then sign up for payroll. Right? Talk to your HR person. You can't just go in there and say, no, I'm Bob. That's me. Yup. Okay, can I see your identification? Nope. Don't have one. Okay, well, you were just hired by Mr. Johnson down the hall there. I've got to set up your payroll, and I've got to set up, all of your employment agreements. I need identification. Nope. No, you don't. Racist. You ask me for that ID again, I'm going to report you for racism because clearly this is Jim Crow 2.0 you're pointing out. You can't give me my job that I've been hired for unless I show you an identification. You racist bastard. How stupid does that sound? But that's exactly what they're saying about voting. Black people couldn't vote back in the day when there was the March to Selma. Martin Luther King fought for that. Well, of course, not only Martin Luther King, but tons and tons of white people fought for civil rights. You know who most of those people were? Black and white? Republicans. It was the Democrats who opposed the Civil Rights Act. It was the Democrats who opposed letting black people vote. And now they're calling this Jim Crow 2.0 to try to make it look like it's the Republicans who are trying to stop black people from voting. No, Republicans are trying to make sure everybody who votes is a citizen and that they are who they say they are. Just like when you have to get that job, just like when you have to get that subsidy, just like when you have to get that medication, just like when you have to buy that alcohol. You have to show who you are and what your age is. And with photo identification, that's how it works. Additional cost of an ID is an argument. One-time free ID might be a solution. It's already there. States that require photo identification to vote, if you can't afford one because you're at the poverty line, all you have to do is show that, and you can get, just like subsidies, you can get a free ID. It's already there. Nana Sherry says it's all about the vote and the money. Therese says communists have been stealing elections for decades and decades. Well said. Communists spelled Democrats. Sorry, but they made that bed. They gave themselves, they elected the likes of Zoltar Mamdani. They keep electing socialists like Katie Wilson. They keep electing socialists like AOC. They're the ones who are embracing communism. If you're going to embrace it, you better wear it. That's the bottom line. And that's exactly right. They do that. Why are they still adding to Kamala's vote total? Matthew Young. I don't know Matthew, but Matthew, welcome in. If you're a newbie, appreciate having you here. It's a hell of a damn good question. Kamala's vote. Seriously, that was being changed as new things. It's the same thing. I don't want to go there. They kept adding to Biden's vote total overnight while everybody said, yeah, we're going home for the night. It's too much to count. Good night, everybody. Good night, everybody. And the Republican poll watchers left and everybody left. And then suddenly, out from underneath the table, while in the dead of night, they're pulling out tubs of ballots and putting them through the sorter. And the next morning, 6 a.m., look at this. When we went to bed last night, Donald Trump was on track to being reelected. He was leading in all of these states by all of these amounts, and huge surge in overnight vote counts for Joe Biden. And Joe Biden is going to win those states now. I mean, let's see, where else? What about the fact that over 80% of Americans want the SAVE Act? What happened to our representative government? Christine, daggone good question. And Mike Lee pointed that out as well in that clip that I played. Said it's an 80% issue. It's an 80-20 issue. I don't know if it's exactly 80, maybe it's 77, but it's overwhelmingly, it's a rout that the American people want this in a bipartisan way. We want this. All right, I'm going to move. Great stuff in the chat. Keep it up. I want to move on. I want to get a couple of other items in here. This is staying on Capitol Hill, though, what I want to share with you next. Representative Brandon Gill is quickly becoming a hard-charging force in the House. He is unafraid and he is unapologetic when he is questioning leftists who come to testify in front of these committees for some really, really important measures. And this is one, and I want you to watch as Brandon Gill traps one of his leftist or one of the left's chosen witnesses to testify before this committee. Watch.
Should American taxpayers pay for Medicaid for illegal aliens?
In many circumstances, yes.
They should.
Not just American taxpayers, but immigrant taxpayers who also pay taxes as well.
For Social
As you know,
Security
sir, there is no exception for tax paying based on immigration status.
I'm the one who's asking questions here. Should American taxpayers pay for Social Security for illegal aliens? It's a yes or no question. I think the answer is no.
It's not a yes or no question. It doesn't happen. We don't provide Social Security benefits to undocumented people. I wasn't aware that was a topic of today's hearing.
I don't think that should happen, and I'm asking you if you think it should happen.
The last question, the witness may answer the question.
I don't believe that that's a question when it doesn't happen. It's misleading to suggest it does. No one who's undocumented
It's a really basic question,
Social
and you don't want to
Security.
answer it because you've got a crazy radical open borders agenda that we can all see.
Exactly. He forces him, he traps him into just saying yes or no. Should American citizens be paying into Social Security for illegal aliens? Should American citizens, taxpayers, be providing welfare or any other public subsidies for illegal aliens. And I don't think that's a fair question. Don't you just want to slap the taste out of the mouths of these people? It's a simple question, yes or no. You either believe that we should have an actual country marked by sovereignty, protected by borders, or you don't believe we should. That any world citizen should be able to come and go as they please here. And when they come here, what did we say? I think Mike Lee said 10 to 15 million. Many estimates, the ones I've been going by for the 4 years of Biden, are 12 to 20 million. And the difference, of course, is in the number of known and unknown gotaways, because there are millions of them. But let's just go with the lower estimate and say 10 to 15 million. 10 to 15 million illegal aliens just came into this country, la-di-da, like there's no borders whatsoever, because Joe Biden not only kept them open when somebody else tried to close them with razor wire, he sent out forklifts to lift up the razor wire to keep the parade going. So in that time, all of those people came into this country. Now, leftists, like the ones testifying, the one who was just testifying in front of Representative Gill there, don't want to say that they shouldn't get all of those things: Social Security and welfare benefits, subsidies, free public housing or subsidized public housing, meals, EBT cards, and so forth. They can't say out loud what they don't believe, which is that, no, they shouldn't get those things. They don't believe that, so he won't say it. So instead, he just says, I don't believe that's really happening. Well, I'm just telling you, or Representative Brandon Gill said, I'm just telling you, I don't think they should be able to receive those. Do you? Silence, 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 that look of puzzlement on the face, this look here.
I don't believe that that's a question when it doesn't happen. It's misleading to suggest it does. No one who's undocumented
It's a really basic
receives
question.
social
Is exactly that, a very basic question. I'm just here's that. He looked like a dog that just heard a strange noise. You ever see a dog who's just like, huh? And they cock their head to the side.
Don't provide
asking
social
you,
security
should it?
benefits
I'm asking you if
to
it should.
undocumented people. I wasn't aware that was a topic of today's
I don't think
hearing.
that should happen, and I'm asking you if you think it should happen.
The last question, the witness may answer the question.
I don't.
Huh?
Someone who's asking
What?
Someone who's asking questions here. Should American taxpayers pay for Social Security for illegal aliens? It's a yes or no question.
Huh?
I think the answer is no.
Just that look of befuddlement on his face just kind of cracks me up. But these are people that like I said, I haven't, never mind. I don't want to dive into my personal past. I don't smack people anymore. The last time I smacked people, I got paid for it. I don't get paid to smack people around anymore. So, but boy, oh boy, there are times when I see people like that and you just want to just paintbrush them just a couple of times. As Fred Sanford used to say, 5 across the eyes. Sometimes you just feel like that. All right. Oh, hold on a second. Oh, were you not even able to see his face there? I apologize. See, I'm looking at 2 different screens and I didn't realize you weren't able to see his face when I was making that. But that's okay. I do want you to see this face now, for better or worse. This is the visage of the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul. Kathy Hochul speaking on, well, something not terribly dissimilar from what we were just talking about, what Representative Gill was talking to his left-wing guest on, who is an open borders advocate. They were talking about subsidies. They were talking about giving free stuff away to illegal aliens. Well, in New York, the state of New York, and in New York City in particular, they have pledged to give a whole hell of a lot of free stuff away to illegal aliens. So much so that it is a socialist dystopia that they're creating there. Notice I didn't say utopia. I gave you the opposite. It's a socialist dystopia that they're creating in New York. And to say that it is falling apart on them is an understatement, because the only possible way for them to give all of the free stuff to all of the people that they want to give free stuff to is to raise the taxes on a whole lot of very successful people who actually drive the economy in their state. The business owners and the corporations that employ people and give them jobs, allowing them to spend money and to grease the economy, those employers don't like the idea of being robbed so that free stuff can be given to other people. So you know what they've done? They've left. They're gone. And many of them are still in the process of moving. And now Demonrat Governor Kathy Hochul is pleading for them to come back because we've still got more free stuff to give away, but we don't have any more money to do it. Will you please bring some of your money back here so we can take it from you and give it to other people? It's literally what she said. Listen.
And being conscious of the facts that I need people who are high net worth to support the generous social programs that we want to have in our state.
She didn't even code the language. She didn't even code it. I need rich people, AKA people of higher net worth, to bring their money back here so we can give it away to people who are freeloaders, Americans or non-Americans. We got to give free stuff away here. We promised a whole lot of crazy, kooky crap, and now we don't have the money to do it. Will you please bring your money back here so we can give it away to other people?
And being conscious of the facts that I need people who are high net worth to support the generous social programs that we want to have in our state. Right? Now, there are some patriotic millionaires who've stepped up. Okay, cut me the checks. They just, if you want to be supportive, but maybe the first step should be go down to Palm Beach and see who you can bring back home, because our tax base has been eroded. So I philosophically don't have a problem.
Have you ever heard a plea quite like that? Come back to New York and bring a whole lot of other rich people who left New York because of the high taxes we are imposing upon them. Come back to New York and bring them with you and bring your checkbooks. We've got free stuff to give away. Have you ever heard? It's like you said, no, it's not coded. It's just articulated right there. Bring your money back so we can take it from you. It's patriotic, she said. It's patriotic for you to work, to build your business, to become successful, to hire people, to create demand, to create more manufacturing jobs, to build the stuff that you're selling. You've built all of that. You've become successful. You're helping other people get successful behind you. Now come back here so we can take more of your freaking money and give it away to other people who have no interest in building anything of their own. It's not even subtle. It's just saying, bring your friends and bring your checkbooks. We got stuff to give away.
Like, I have to look at the fact that we are in competition with other states who have less of a tax burden.
Red states. Now she is kind of coding. She's afraid to say it. We're in competition with the red states. The red states are the low tax states, or the no tax states, the no state taxes anyway. The red states are the ones that people are flocking to. They're leaving New York, and they're leaving California, and they're leaving Illinois, and they're leaving Massachusetts, and they're which are the highest taxed blue states, and they're going to the Texas, Tennessee, Florida, God willing, Ohio type of states. Red states where the tax burden is less, so that they can, because those states understand, and they have voters, people like you and me, who understand that money is better spent by the people who earn it than it is by the government. Because when the people are allowed to spend their own money, they're allowed to keep their own money, and they're allowed to spend their own money, that's when the economy grows. Always. Always has, always will. When the government takes it and spends it on their waste and their fraud and their abuse, when they waste that money and it isn't left for the people to spend, or when it's given away in large numbers to people who have no interest in working whatsoever, people who came here illegally, have no interest in learning our language, assimilating to our culture, or getting some of our jobs. They would rather just sit by. There's two types of illegal immigrants who come into this country. The ones who come in here with no intention of working whatsoever because they know free crap is just around the corner. Or number two, the ones who do want to come here to work, but they're coming here and undercutting the wages of American workers and taking their jobs. Either way, subsidizing them is not in the best interest of the country. It's not in the best interest of the state. And taking money from successful business owners, high net worth people, as she called them, so that they can be given away to those freeloaders, that's not good policy either, economic or social. Here's the rest.
On their corporations and their individuals. And I would say remote work changed everything. There were people who could only work in an office in Manhattan or work in New York State, and they were captives to our state. They were going to stay. We saw that that's not the case. I mean, Wall Street businesses looking at Texas, they're not going there because they have a nicer governor. I know that for sure. But they're going there because of the tax rate. We have to be smart about this. But we can fund what we want to fund with what we already are taking in.
Can you believe you're hearing this as directly as you are from Kathy Hochul? She's admitting they're going to Texas, not because they have a good governor, ha, 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 like not as good as me. Greg Abbott is 10 times the governor that this beast is. She said they're not going there for the governor. They're going there because of the lower tax rate. She said it. She said it. You learning anything here? You want wealthy corporations and business owners to come to live in your state and to operate in your state. Lower your tax rate. Lower your tax rate. And instead, you're sitting there saying, we need to raise our tax rate and now invite or beg more wealthy corporations and business owners to come back here so that we can use that tax rate to take more of their profit from them and give it away to other people. It's so bizarre that she's saying out loud what is required here. She's saying it out loud. And is like, I don't know if she's just so self-unaware that she's answering her own question. She's solving her own problem. And she's just not even aware of it. You want to bring them back here? Make New York a little more like Texas. Lower the tax rate. Don't bilk the successful people out of their money to give it to the freeloaders. And when I say freeloaders, by the way, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about every poor person in America that receives something. I did tell you, I grew up eating an awful lot of government cheese. We were poor, period, point blank. We were poor. And we ate some free government food, some eggs, some cheese, and things like that every winter in particular when I was a kid growing up. I'm not saying that there aren't good programs for the poor and the needy that, should not exist. Of course they should. We're not talking about those who are hard workers like my father was, but he just wasn't able to earn a lot of money. We're not talking about people who are trying. When I say freeloaders, I'm talking about the ones who literally want to come here or they are born here and they are just interested in what can the government give me? I'm not working. All right. That's why Medicaid and the Medicaid scams and the food for the poor scams and things like that. That's why we changed it in the one big beautiful bill requiring at least 20 hours of volunteering or working or going to school to learn how to become a worker in some capacity, a trade school or whatever, 20 hours a week. Half of what a tax-paying American worker works. But that's why we required that. But here's just real quick again at the end.
Wall Street businesses looking at Texas, they're not going there because they have a nicer governor. I know that for sure. But they're going there because of the tax rate. We have to be smart about this. But we can fund what we want to fund with what we already are taking in.
So just to kind of make sure that we're all on the same page here. What I heard her say, and what I hope you heard her say, is that age-old saying, I don't know who's attributed, who this quote is attributed to, but that age-old saying is, socialism always works until you run out of other people's money. Remember that? You've heard that before, right? They're trying to practice socialism in New York. They're trying to collectivize through collectivism, but they're trying to collect everyone's property, everyone's profits, centralize it into the government, and then dole it out to people, particularly those who are impoverished, whether they're impoverished because of circumstances beyond their control or by choice because they just want free crap. Doesn't matter. That's socialism. We're taking it from those who have and distributing it to those who have not. It's communism. From each according to his ability, to each according to his means. This is what it's about. And it always works until you run out of other people's money. The government doesn't create wealth. The government doesn't produce anything. The government, particularly in blue states like this, all they can do is confiscate. All they can do is take. And she just said it out loud. That entire, how long was that clip that I just played? That's 1 minute and 5 seconds. That 1 minute and 5 seconds should be made into 100,000 commercials for every Republican running against any left-wing Democrat in this country. And then on debate stages, play that. Say, do you agree with Governor Hochul here? Do you agree that people should be forced to confiscate their wealth, to confiscate their profits, or excuse me, not to surrender them, that the state should be able to confiscate the wealth of those people and their profits in order to give it to somebody else? Because that's what the Democrats vote for. The Democrats choose people like her all of the time. And I find that astounding. All right. We don't want to do that sort of thing here in the state of Ohio. We want to do better. And we want to do things like enact the Buckeye Blueprint. Want to talk a little bit about AFP, Americans for Prosperity. I've been telling you about them now. So they've become a foundational sponsor of this program. And I'm so very proud and happy to tell you about AFP and about the Buckeye Blueprint, because Ohio, being in the middle of the Midwest, is a nice thing to be, but being in the middle of the pack nationally on things that matter so much, not so nice, not at all. So AFP is pushing, and through grassroots efforts from the assistance of people like you and me, they're pushing and promoting the Buckeye Blueprint, building a bolder and better Ohio, a state that leads the nation, isn't in the middle of the pack in economic freedom, gives parents real education options. I've got a story on that too that I'll hit in a little while. Delivers affordable and reliable energy and makes government work for the people again. This is, and it's not necessarily about politics and choosing one person over another. It's about policies once people are in office. That's what AFP is about, influencing. It's about Ohio's future. And if you think this state should be better, should be closer to number one in the nation, rather than in the middle of the pack, then by all means, you need to get involved. Go to BuckeyeBlueprint.com to learn how to do that. Go to BuckeyeBlueprint.com and support AFP, Americans for Prosperity, and AFP Ohio. They do tremendous work. All right, let's see. I want to pivot a little bit. I want to change topics a little bit. Senator Bernie Moreno did some work yesterday in the Senate. The debate is on and continues on DHS funding, why Democrats won't fund the Department of Homeland Security, as you are well aware, because they don't want ICE to show up at polling places. We talked about that a little bit earlier as well. Senator Moreno had a moment, and I'm going to share that moment with you after I take a short time out. Stay here and enjoy this while we wait.
Vest on, boots laced. Another name on the paper, another hard case. Got a wife back in Lubbock, kids in their Sunday best. I ain't some villain in a movie, I'm a man doing my best. face, you can block my way, but this badge on my chest means somebody saved today. You hold that sign, I hold this line in my hands. While you're chanting the street, I'm the one who stands. Yeah, you draw your crowd, I draw the line in the sand. Saw you playing for cameras, shoving phones in my crew, spitting words like traitor, like you know what we go through. When you circle that transport, like it's some kind of game, there's a scared little girl in the backseat, you don't even know her name. You can scream in my face, you can block my way, but this badge on my chest means somebody saved today. You hold that sign, I'll hold this line in my hands. While you're chanting the street, I'm the one who stands. Yeah, you draw your crowd, I draw a line in the sand. Then you shove them into harm's way. You turn a bus into a battlefield. I'm just trying to get them home today. Call me every name you can think of, I'll still show up when it hits the fan. When the dust clears, when fear's near, we'll see who really ran. You can scream in my face, you can block my way, but this badge on my chest means somebody saved today. You hold that sign, I'll hold this line in my hands. While you're chanting the street, I'm the one who stands. Yeah, you draw your crowd, I draw a line in the sand. Yeah, you draw your crowd, I draw a line in the sand.
All right, there you go. Just a little timeout for you. And I figured that was the perfect, I'm getting a little scratchy, that whole thing about that pseudoephedrine thing. I'm going to have to make true today. I'm going to have to go and get some of that. That's always the best one for me. By the way, I'm trying to think if I was trying to find if I have a lozenge. I thought I brought a lozenge here to the studio. Maybe I didn't. Anyway, but I did need to rest the voice there for just a second or two. And I figured that's a perfect lead into what I want to talk about now. And that is the second half of the header that I put on the episode today, if you recall. There it is. It was up this morning. The fight to pass the SAVE Act we've been discussing, and Democrats choosing illegal alien criminals over American workers in DHS, Department of Homeland Security. Senator Moreno had himself, like I said, a great moment here yesterday in committee, calling out the disgusting, deplorable, degenerate Democrats for this, for 260,000 workers. That's what DHS, how many DHS workers are not getting paid because of the Democrats' devotion to criminal illegal aliens and illegal alien voters. That's why they don't want ICE at any polling places. I want you to watch.
Relieve flu-like symptoms with
Hey, why don't you give me an ad when it wasn't there when I queued it up? Super. Appreciate that very much. Let's get back to it here. Hold on.
We have 260,000 families that have not received a paycheck in over a month. 260,000 American citizen families who have not received a paycheck in over a month. None of those people are in charge of policy. There's not one of those families that makes policy decisions for the most part. That's on the people here. There isn't a single human being on this dais that has missed a paycheck. Every single one of us has gotten a paycheck the last 30 days and before that. And yet we sit here and we do political theater. And I said to my colleague, Senator Britt, the other day, that in my 14 months here, I only felt ashamed of this chamber once, and that was last Thursday. When you saw the ultimate political theater, colleagues going, let's fund TSA. How about the Coast Guard? Oh, that's a different person that's going to talk about that. How about FEMA? It's a different person that's going to talk about that. You can't have it both ways, by the way. You can't have Democrats saying, I can't believe the Trump administration is cutting government employee numbers. By the way, over 300,000, we haven't missed a beat. And yet at the same time, not pay people who are actually showing up for it. That seems decently incongruous. We can't say President Trump isn't defending the homeland. Well, he is absolutely doing that every single day. And yet we're allowing these agencies to not be funded. And I have tried really hard to learn how this place works. This is all very new to me. And I remember many, many Democrats saying to me, we have the constitutional duty to fund agencies through appropriations. And then we have a separate piece where we argue policy differences, but we should never marry both together. Because when you marry both together, you don't hurt us. You don't hurt the people here in DC. You hurt the men and women who are going to work every day to defend this country. And that's a disgrace. I actually don't know how you would sleep at night knowing that you're hurting families like that. People can't make their rent payments, can't make their mortgage payments. Their cars are being repossessed. They're having to tell their kids they can't send them to dance recitals because they did everything right in life except got a job with the Department of Homeland Security so that a politician can make a 30-second video online and then use it to fundraise for the next election. That's disgusting. So let me just say this. What are we not talking about? You know, the ranking member said, oh, look, we said we'd fund. He's not paying attention right now, which is fine. We said we're going to fund FEMA. When if you guys are done talking, I'll continue if you like. Are you done? Okay, thank you. It's extraordinarily disrespectful. All right, so moving on. You said you're going to fund all these agencies. Here's ones that you haven't funded. USCIS, near and dear to my heart. Near and dear to my heart. That's how I became a U.S. citizen. We've defunded the agency that allows legal immigrants into this country. That is insane.
Apologies, I did not realize that wasn't on your screen as it was on mine as I was watching the senator there for that impassioned statement. I want to revisit it a little bit, and it ended, as you can see, as the Senator Moreno was just getting to the graphic that is being held up by the aide behind him, and I wanted to focus on that graphic for a moment here because this is the kind of stuff that Senator was talking about. And by the way, I could dive into the fact that the rude, disgusting, debased, debauched, decadent Democrats are completely being disrespectful, as he pointed out at the end of that, would not even allow him to speak without being interrupted. He was there being completely interrupted. It's just insane. But I'll focus instead on what the senator said. Look at all of the families. I'm going to play this again only so I can blow this back up here real quick. Look at all of the families of I hate Fox News. I hate their website so badly. You hit pause and it shrinks back so it can say, look, you can watch this later about Bob Barker too, and you can watch this and this and this. I just want it to freeze on where it was. Just cannot stand their website. But what Senator Moreno was talking about are these American workers and their families who cannot pay their bills because they're not being paid by Democrats, because Democrats care more about the illegal aliens that ICE tracks down and gets rid of in the deportation, which is exactly what the American people voted for overwhelmingly, by the way. So these people can't make a living. So that I wanted to focus on that. And I want to focus not just on that part of it because of their families, that's a huge part of it, but also what they do, what their jobs were. I'm going to freeze frame that so that I can see it. There we go. That works better. Hopefully you're still seeing that. So 3,300 employees, 3,300 employees who work for USCIS. USCIS is the agency that processes legal immigration. As Senator Moreno said, that's how his family came here, legal immigrants from Colombia. Okay. There are legal immigrants waiting to come into this country right now that can't get through because the department is shut down because of the Democrats. They're always talking about immigration being so important. And we, of course, are the ones who have to put the modifier in there. Yeah, we agree. Legal immigration. Now they basically are saying everything takes a backseat to the illegals, including legal immigrants, because they don't get to get processed now because of this partial shutdown. Second one there, special agents stopping transnational criminals. We're talking about what? Transnational traffickers. All right. People who run guns and run drugs and run human beings, sex traffickers and so forth. Transnational criminals are being allowed to run free right now because 7,000 special agents that would have been funded by DHS can't go do their jobs. 200 employees in the Biological and Nuclear Threat Prevention Agency. They're not on the job. And then 60,000 employees detecting terror at airports and ports and facilitating lawful trade, as you can see. America's homeland is less secure right now. It's less secure than it should be and than what it was because of the Democrats, because of their fealty to illegal aliens. What kind of fealty are we talking about? Let's listen once again to Hack. This is the hack that leads the Democrats in the House, sometimes referred to as Timu Obama. Dollar store Obama? Yeah, he tries to be like Barack Obama, which is not, by the way, a very good thing to aspire to, but he tries and he fails miserably. But this is Hakeem Jeffries, affectionately known as Hack, once again reiterating his loyalty to illegal aliens.
Chosen to focus their energies on spending billions of taxpayer dollars, on the one hand, to drop bombs in a reckless war choice in the Middle East, and then spend billions of taxpayer dollars at home to unleash mass and untrained ICE agents to brutalize American communities and violently target law-abiding immigrant families. The American people deserve better.
He just declared, as you heard, Hack Jeffries just declared that ICE, federal law enforcement officers, are brutalizing American cities, cities, and harming law-abiding residents. Does anybody want to inform the ranking Democrat in the United States House of Representatives that coming into this country illegally is not abiding by the law? Law abiding means you obey laws. You abide by them. If you break our laws by coming in here, it's the very first thing you do. The first thing you do on American soil is to break a law by stepping onto it without permission. We're going to call them law abiding? No, they're not law abiding. ICE's job is to enforce law. They are law abiding. You and I, Senator Bernie Moreno and his family, when they came into this country legally, they're law abiding. Law abiding American citizens are not being harmed by ICE. The only people being harmed by ICE would be law breakers, criminals. And we're talking about very dangerous criminals. Again, I just played that, or I showed you that the board there that Senator Moreno's aide was holding up. We're talking about literally transnational traffickers, among others. So who do the Democrats look out for? Do they really look out for the American people? They really look out for legal citizens? No. They prioritize illegal aliens and their own future elections. Because A, they're going to let these people get identification and they're going to let these people vote. All right. They're already giving Social Securities out by the millions, Social Security numbers by the millions to illegal aliens. As long as they're here, they're like, we're gonna make sure that they're registered, if you will. And then that's going to lead them to being able to vote. But that's beyond that. It's beyond just voting. It's their presence in the United States because of our arcane rules that say the census should count for terms of congressional apportionment every single human body that is here, regardless of whether or not they're an actual citizen. So they've got 10 to 20 million illegals who came in during the Biden years, added to the roughly 11 million that were here before, and we have a minimum of 20 million illegal aliens in this country, and strategically placed and positioned in places where Democrats need more representation that can literally change the country. That's why they fight so hard for them. They're not looking out for you. They're not looking out for me. They're not looking out for America's best interest. They're looking out for their own personal power and their own agenda. And this is indisputable. Who else are they looking out for? They're looking out for the fraudsters. What are you talking about, Bob? You saw the same story I did. Nick Shirley, a couple of days ago, we did this show. I think it was on Tuesday, maybe. Nick Shirley exposing in California what the media will not. Same thing in Minnesota. The hundreds of millions of dollars in certain instances, collectively adding up to billions of dollars overall of complete fraud. Our tax dollars going to quote unquote services that are non-existent. 80 different hospice businesses listed in one small apartment complex, or I mean, sorry, not apartment, what looks like an old motel building. 80 hospice care centers in one place, collecting hundreds of millions of dollars together. Nick Shirley exposed that. That's an example of the fraud. In Columbus, Ohio, let's bring it close to home. We've seen the same thing. The Leering Center that became famous from Minnesota, there are Leering centers all over Columbus, Ohio. Phony facades of daycare centers. Facade, meaning they'll put a sign up outside. It's the front says it's a daycare center. Are there any kids in there? Well, if you want to come and look, you're a pervert. If you want to come and look at these kids, you're a pedophile. Did you know that Gavin Newsom did that to Nick Shirley? Don't let me forget that, chatters. I'll get back into the chat room in a few. Don't let me forget to tell you what Gavin Newsom, the governor of Louisiana, California, truly earning the name that President Trump has given him, which is New Scum. Governor Gavin Newsom of California targeting Nick Shirley, the 23-year-old who's exposing all of the fraud in California, how he has branded him or labeled him. It's completely slanderous, completely defaming. And I hope there is a defamation suit coming from Nick Shirley to the governor of California. Absolutely. But don't let me forget to come back to that, because I will. This is what ADD does to you. But let's stay on the fraud issue writ large. The House of Representatives yesterday passed a piece of legislation to crack down on illegal aliens who participate in those fraud programs that we're talking about. Welfare fraud in particular. It passed 231 to 186, approving the, quote, Deporting Fraudsters Act. That's what it's called, the Deporting Fraudsters Act. It was sponsored by Ohio's David Taylor. It would amend the Immigration and Nationality Act to explicitly define fraud as a deportable offense. If you commit fraud and steal American taxpayer dollars through fraud, gone. Whether you have a green card, a visa, or anything else, gone. Republicans said that the legislation is necessary to ensure that non-citizens who steal taxpayer dollars are no longer eligible to receive any immigration relief services or legal protections, i.e. welfare. Tom McClintock, a Republican from California, said, if you admit to or you're convicted of fraudulently receiving public benefits, you're out of here on the next plane and can never return. So far, so good. All common sensible. Democrat lawmakers, however, said things like this. Jamie Raskin, Democrat from Maryland. Another week, another redundant and completely unnecessary immigration crime bill. End quote. That bill that I just described to you, which is about as common sensible as it comes, I told you it passed 231 to 186. All 186 opponents were Democrats. Nearly 200 of our representatives in the United States House of Representatives voted to keep illegal alien fraudsters here. including all of Ilhan Omar's cronies and friends and Somali pirates, literally pirating and stealing from the American people. It's booty to them, no matter whether you're doing it on the high seas or in Columbus, Ohio, Los Angeles, California, or Minneapolis, Minnesota. Nearly 200 Democrats voted against deporting those criminals. Tell me again they care about the United States of America. By bypassing the conviction requirement, this legislation would hand a liberal get-out-of-jail-free card to immigrants who commit fraud by deporting them without going through the criminal justice system and giving them their day in court. Again, Democrat Jamie Raskin, trying to paint their support of the illegal fraudsters as being, no, looking out for the victims and looking out for the criminal justice system. Without that conviction, then our deportation won't have any teeth. What are you talking about? We don't need to send every illegal alien that is discovered here illegally to a courtroom. You're trying to cover this whole thing. You're give them their due process nonsense as in some way being in the best interest of the American people. GOP lawmakers countered there is no language in the bill that prevents non-citizens from being prosecuted for alleged fraud prior to being removed from the country, but it just doesn't require it. I don't want my courts backlogged anymore. I don't want real crime and real victims to have to take a back seat while people like Jamie Raskin funnel millions of illegal aliens who have been busted for committing fraud or from receiving the benefits of that fraud while they take up time getting their due process day in court. No. You find an illegal alien in this country or a legal alien in this country, a legal resident who is here on a visa or a student visa or work visa or whatever, HB1, whatever it is, H1B, you find them committing fraud, march them directly to the bus station or the airport and point it south and get it the hell out. Just that simple. All of them. I don't need to get a judge's gavel to say so. I don't need to waste the court's time. I don't need to backlog the system. Illegals don't have rights to any of our courtrooms. And if there's any statute that says they do, that should be fixed. And this bill would do that. We tell the left all the time, the ones who are anti-ICE, the ones who are screaming about ICE going into the communities and gathering people up and doing what they have to do, which is their jobs. Their job is to enforce federal law. And we tell those opponents, those protesters, if you don't like the federal law, don't take it out on the law enforcers, ICE, CBP, police, sheriffs. Don't take it out on them. Change the law. You don't like the law, don't blame the law enforcement officers, blame the lawmakers. Tell them to fix it. Tell them to change it. That's how it works. Well, following our own advice, because we're reasonable people, conservatives, following our own advice, here we are. We're proposing a change in the law. This is a bill that, if it becomes law, would say, no more Mr. Nice Guy, no more pussyfooting around. If you are a recipient or a participant in fraud, taking money from the taxpayers of this country, and you're not from this country, you're out of this country. Gone. Done. We're walking the walk after talking the talk. We tell you, change the law if you don't like it. So here we are trying to change laws. And nearly 200 Democrats said, no, we want our fraudsters to stay right here where they are. We want our Somali grifters to stay right here where we are, or where they are. That's literally what they've said here. I mentioned Gavin Newsom. Let me see if I still have this one. Gavin Newsom is new scum. Is a real piece of work. I don't know if I have this one queued up right now. Look it up again real quick, because what he, I showed you what Nick Shirley did. I played you some clips of Nick Shirley. And his California expose of the hospice centers and the healthcare centers and the childcare centers. It's about 40 minutes. It's received millions and millions and millions of views on YouTube, and it should. So Gavin Newsom's press office, almost immediately after that came out, put out a tweet, and that's what I'm trying to find here, put out a tweet that took this 23-year-old, this kid, this Nick Shirley, this independent, journalist who's exposing all of this stuff, and tried to paint him as a, hold on, tried to paint him as a pedophile. I'm going to try to pull this up too, if I can, real quick. You can see what I'm talking about here. It's just, yeah, this is it. I got it now. Have a look at that. See if I can make it larger for you here. So this is something that was put out by, literally, see this right here where my cursor is circling? Governor Newsom press office. It's their official blue-checked press office. Nick Shirley right now. And it's got obviously what you see, somebody mounted with a whole bunch of cameras and a daycare setting with that depraved pedophile look on his face. Can I see your kids? Nick Shirley is there, of course, to expose the fact that there are no kids there. Was he a pedophile when he was in California last week, filming hospice, quote unquote, hospice care centers? Was that the evil looking character that he was there? I mean, this is just disgusting. This is reprehensible, but that's not the worst of it. The worst of it was literally Gavin Newsom. There's more to this than that. Let me see if I can pull up the rest of it. Not the press office, but Gavin Newsom on Nick Shirley, what he said. Because their goal here, okay, well, I guess we can do this. This is Nick Shirley responding to Gavin Newsom, calling him an enemy to the people of California. Let's watch this part.
Yes, the governor of California is an enemy to the people of California. He's literally working to support the fraudsters. Meanwhile, he could be working to expose the fraud. I mean, how stupid do you have to be to say, okay, let's go after the guy who's exposing the fraud. Let's not go after the fraudsters. That is what he's doing, what he's actively doing each and every single day when he makes out these statements, and all he does is blame the people who are showing the fraud. Why doesn't he say, hey, Nick, great video. How can we help?
Right? That's what I would say. Was wow, great video. How did you find this? Where did you go, and where are you going next so we can find somebody to go with you? Don't you think that would be a common response?
Exactly, because these tax dollars don't say right or left on them. They don't say Republican or Democrat.
Right.
Each tax dollar is a dollar for the American people. And when they go in and steal these dollars from us, they're not robbing just the liberal Democrat in California. They're robbing everyone. Yeah. And then the governor gets mad at the person for exposing the fraud. How crazy do you have to be to think with that logic?
Exactly. Well, but then again, we're talking about Democrats. And as President Trump said, these people are crazy. These people are nuts. While Gavin Newsom is targeting Nick Shirley and blaming him for exposing the fraud in his state that Governor Gavin Newsom allows to continue to be perpetrated, his Democrat allies in Congress are voting against, as I just showed for you, voting against a bill that would deport the fraudsters. Deport them. They're here from another country, legally or illegally, and they're committing fraud. Bye-bye, gone, done, deportable. That's it. Your presence is no longer required here. So that's happening in D.C. In California, people like Nick Shirley are exposing the fraud, and people like Gavin Newsom are savaging him and attacking him. And I hope there is a full-on defamation lawsuit filed by Nick Shirley, because what Governor Newsom himself is saying and doing, and what the Governor Newsom press office is doing, is like I said, it's actionable. We're talking about defamation of character. We're talking about slander. We're talking about libel because they're saying it and printing it, and there are actionable items here for Nick Shirley to pursue legally, and I hope he does. Now I'm going to come back to the one Democrat that I'm not actually afraid to let you see anymore because he has recovered from his brain damage. And of course, I'm speaking of John Fetterman. I want you to see this. This is also in response to the Nick Shirley and the Governor Gavin Newsom story. Let's listen to it first, and then I'll remind everybody about John Fetterman and why it matters.
Governor Newsom put out a disgusting video implying that he's, a pedophile or he's that. Like, why? That's like kind of a smear. You want to disagree, but to imply that someone in one of the most gross kinds of terms like that, it's like, hey, shouldn't we agree? Eliminate all the waste. If it exists under my purview, let's eliminate it. Let's call that what it is. I'm not going to call someone or imply that you're a pedophile or you're going after kids in gross ways.
But what's crazy to me and so many other people that have seen these videos is to then see reactions from leaders in the Democratic Party saying, we don't have a problem, this is racist, this is whatever, and denouncing the reports of this. Exactly. But when you see this fraud, it angers everyone. You're spending money as a taxpayer, and then you're giving the money away to fraudsters. It should. You should be angry. And, fraud can happen on both sides, but when it's identified, I don't care if it's in a Democratic state, we should all just acknowledge maybe there is a problem here. This is part of the thing. If you tell voters that you're wrong or, hey, it's no problem, there's nothing here, then you lose. And that you want to turn that into, if you want to turn that into like the border, what Democrats is in 2023, we do that at our own peril.
I don't know why it is that the other Democrats can't follow John Fetterman's lead. John Fetterman had a stroke that nearly killed him, made him unintelligible. He couldn't speak clearly, couldn't form thoughts, couldn't make things work in his brain because he suffered brain damage from that stroke and somehow ran for office and somehow won despite not being able to communicate. And at the time all of that happened, he was about as far left as they come. Since recovering from the brain damage, John Fetterman is the most reasonable Democrat in the Senate. He's the most reasonable Democrat on the national stage, more reasonable than any Democrat in the House either. So it's kind of bizarre, but it just goes to show. Liberalism is a brain disorder. And when you recover from brain damage, you become much more reasonable. John Fetterman recovered. I wish every other Democrat could recover from their own brain damage. And they didn't have strokes to have theirs either. But that's the reality of it. What he just said is 100% true. And I hope to God, Governor Gavin Newsom and his press office, his team, they're all sued into oblivion, and that Nick Shirley can maybe hire more people like him to go. By the way, just real quick, I'm going to go back to the clip where he was talking about Newsom here with Trace Gallagher on Fox. I think that's Trace Gallagher, right? On Fox News. The question that Trace Gallagher asked him here was really interesting to me because I've already talked about this when I did my Nick Shirley topic the other day on the show. It's not hard what he's doing here. It's not hard. We shouldn't have to ask this, but I want to replay this part real quick.
He's doing what he's actively doing each and every single day when he makes out these statements, and all he does is blame the people who are showing the fraud. Why doesn't he say, "Hey, Nick, great video. How can we help?"
Right here. Now this part by Trace Gallagher.
That's what I would say. It was, wow, great video. How did you find this? Where did you go? And where are you going next so we can find somebody to go with you?
Okay, I understand the point Trace Gallagher is trying to make here about that, like we should cooperate with him, but the answer isn't even freaking difficult. The governor nor the media should have to ask Nick, how did you do it? It's public information. A Google search, although I don't Google, a search on your favorite search engine, you can find hospices and you can find the addresses and you can then cross-reference those with where taxpayer dollars are spent. All of this stuff is available. What health services or child care service centers are receiving government funds? You can look it up and then look up their addresses on any search engine and then go check it out. And the chances are very good that what Nick Shirley and his assistant did is they're driving by places, and if it looks like a functioning daycare center with a bunch of kids playing outside, or a bunch of cars there, and all indications that it is actually running, just keep on going. But then when you drive to basically an empty motel complex where 80 different hospice centers are listed to with the address, addresses listed as to their locations there. And then you go in there to find out, are you taking care of old people here? Or are you a home hospice care center who are sending people out to care for, elderly hospice patients in their own homes? Can we see some evidence of that? And it's, opening up the door, peeking out. What are you doing here? What do you want? Why are you harassing us? What, and they have absolutely no answers whatsoever. And then they're hopping in, as you saw in the Nick Shirley videos, they're hopping in their Mercedes and their Cybertrucks and their whatever else, their luxury vehicles, and speeding out of there so they don't have to answer the questions. What Nick Shirley is doing doesn't take a big, hey, let's ask Nick how he does it. Holy crap. It's an individual kid with a webcam and a little fuzzy microphone. ABC News, CBS News, NBC News, they have untold millions of dollars at their disposal. You don't think they can figure this stuff out? They don't want to. And instead of saying thank you to Gavin or to Nick Shirley, Gavin Newsom tries to paint him as a pedophile. Ah, Lordy. Trying to see where I want to go next, if I want to go anywhere else, because that's a lot we have already covered. Let's go into the chat now. We'll see what people have to say about all of this. And I thank you, everybody who is in. We've covered a lot of ground here, and we're going to go kind of in reverse order. I've been trying to go backwards whenever I come toward the end of shows into the chat and see what people have had to say about some of the stuff we've presented today. Just all out of order. So I'm going to go in reverse order chronologically here. Trump times 3. Expecting Newsom to help would be like expecting the Iranian IRGC to ask how they could help with the USA and Israel campaigns. You're right, because Newsom, like the IRGC, is the enemy. It's reality. Dems only. Rhinos are also a problem. Yeah, but rhinos are, by kind of the definition of rhino, Democrats. They're Democrats, but they're wearing the R's. The point is the same individuals do need to be held accountable. Yeah. Stroke is the cure for TDS. Hate to think of it that way, but John Fetterman recovered and became suddenly reasonable. Macromia, public officials versus private citizens. Yeah. Great point. I don't know which one it was, but thank you. If Shirley can sue Newsom for what he said, how can Newsom and others not sue Trump for what he calls them, i.e. Newscum? Well, simple. Calling somebody a name is not the same thing as alleging criminal activity. Defamation of character is when you call somebody or intimate that they're a pedophile, you are literally defaming them. It's not just making fun of their name. It is a very, very big difference there. Name calling and insults and political insults are one thing. Accusing somebody of being a criminal or being somebody that is, a threat to others, particularly children like this, that's defamation. That's scandalous. That is libelous and slanderous. Not trying to bash Trump, just worried it will give them a no. They can't sue Trump for that, Sharon. I appreciate the question, by the way, Sharon. No, it's not about, I'll tell you an example. 30 plus years ago, Al Franken. Remember Al Franken? Saturday Night Live, ended up becoming a senator from what state, everybody? Minnesota, affectionately known now as Minnesomalia. Al Franken wrote a book about 30 years ago called Rush Limbaugh is a Big Fat Idiot. I wondered at the time, why isn't Rush Limbaugh suing him? Why isn't he suing him for slander and defamation and libel and so forth? He said it and he wrote it. So slander and libel would both be in play. Why didn't Rush Limbaugh sue him? You want to know what the answer was? Because to sue him and win, he would have to go in front of a courtroom and prove that he's not a big fat idiot. How are you going to do that? For Gavin Newsom to sue Donald Trump for calling him new scum, he would have to go into court and prove that he's not scum, which is obviously, a subjective thing. What do you determine to be scummy? What do I determine to be scummy? I think, attacking people like Nick Shirley is scummy. I think allowing his state to burn and his state to suffer the highest taxes in the country and for people to pay $7 a gallon of gas there, I think it's scummy. You can't sue for things like that. Nick Shirley, however, can sue Gavin Newsom and prove that he's not a pedophile and prove that his investigations are solely to try to uncover fraud, not to peek in at kids inside of daycare centers. That is absolutely actionable, and that's something that can be done. I fear for Nick Shirley's safety, says Charlie. They didn't crucify Jesus until he flipped the money tables. And correctly, Buckeye Tree says he has security. Thank God. You know who's providing, who's providing his security for him is Brandon Tatum, the Officer Tatum. Officer Tatum has got his own private security company, and he is providing free of charge security for Nick Shirley, because absolutely he would be somebody they would look to stop from doing what he's doing, to take out. My only hope is that there are other, potential independent journalists out there inspired by Nick Shirley's work to go and follow it up. And for a hot minute there were some people doing that. Heck, Cook, we had her on, went down to Columbus, along with John Rocker from Florida. Jack Windsor somehow connected with Rocker. There were a few people let's take a look at what's going on in Columbus too. I hope it inspires more of this. And again, not just the independent journalists, but maybe it'll shame the media into actually going back out there and doing their job, the job that they used to do, the job that they used to care about. Now they have no interest whatsoever because it's going to harm the agenda of them and their left-wing colleagues. Bernie Moreno says Buckeye Therese is awesome. Why do we see more from him than Husted? Well, Husted obviously is, a little newer. Bernie's been there 14 months. Husted's only been there a short while since, the election. And he was appointed to replace Vice President Vance. Bernie obviously beat Sherrod Brown back in 24. He's had a little bit more time doing it. I think Senator Husted is doing a fine job, but he just, he's not as public with a lot of the stuff that he does and says right now. He's still getting his sea legs, if you will. Senator Moreno is a rock star, says Paco 11. Is that a Tony Paco reference? Is that a Toledo Tony Paco's hot dog reference? I don't know. Lois Irene says Bernie will be blacklisted for calling out his fellow senators. How dare he tell them this, right? They'll try, but he's fearless. Bernie Moreno is indeed a rock star, and I've been saying that as well. You know who else is a rock star in my book? My friend Mark King is a rock star, and I want to remind you about keeping Medicare simple. If you're on Medicare and you ever find yourself confused by your coverage, you're not alone. Medicare is complicated. They make it that way, I think, on purpose. And the wrong information or no information at all can cost you time and money and peace of mind. So that's why I've been sending people to Mark King for well over 5 years now. Mark has been doing this for nearly 40 years. You talk about being the foremost expert on Medicare in Northeast Ohio, that's him. All right. And I've sent people to him for over 5 years since I met Mark King, because he does exactly what he says he's going to do. He's going to make Medicare simple. Keeping Medicare simple and taking it from the complex and making it understandable and digestible is an art, really. I mean, it takes time and it takes patience, and that's what Mark does with every single client. He does not charge them for his services either. So if you have questions about Medicare to find out whether or not you're on the right plan or whether you could do better when the next time arises, whether it be an enrollment period or, when you age in at age 65, just call Mark at that phone number on the screen. Oops, you can't see that phone number on the screen right now because the comment is still up there. My apologies. Now you can see the phone number on the screen. 440-832-8936. And the website is keepingmedicaresimple.com. Call Mark, go onto the website, learn a little bit more, schedule an appointment, and I promise you, you'll be like so many other seniors that I see at public speaking events at which I appear. They thank me for turning them on to Mark King, because now they have the best possible plan when it comes to Medicare that they could ever get. So really appreciate Mark. And Mark, in addition to helping seniors, he's helping the show, because Mark is indeed, Mark is indeed a foundational partner and sponsor of this show, and we thank him so much for his support and his loyalty. Okay, I want to get back into the comments now. Just a few more before we're done today. Can you imagine how much good could be done for this country if we weren't wasting time protecting the illegal aliens? Yeah, it is sickening, and that's why we have so many members of Congress, both in the House and the Senate, trying to pass bills to stop it. And we have President Trump and DHS sending out law enforcement to enforce laws against illegals, and they're hitting obstruction every step of the way. That's what the Democrats want, because of what you just said. How much could be done? The Democrats don't want good to be done. They want their agenda to be passed. That's why they're banking on the illegal alien issue to try to save them. Sue that miserable governor. You mean Kathy Hochul, the one who laid it all out for people to see and hear? That socialism doesn't work when you run out of other people's money. We are enacting all of those social programs that require a lot of money, and people have left. People have left the state. We need to bring them back. All of those high income earners, all of those moneyed people, come on back so we can take more of your money and give it to more of the social programs that we want to advance. It is unbelievable that she said all that. I said it before, that 1 minute and 5 seconds should be cut up into bite-sized little bits, put in shorts all over the internet, and put in ads for every Republican running against every Democrat in this midterm cycle, because that is the Democrat mindset. We need more wealthy people to come back and give us their wealth. We need to collect their money from them so that we can give it away as we see fit. Full on socialism. That's it. Nick should sue their pants off for defamation. Completely concur. Agree. Nick is so brave, says Lois Irene. Well spoken. Hope he still has security. He does. Zelda, did everyone make a call to the Senate yet? Please make one more call today. We demand that they pass the SAVE Act. Thanks, everyone. And again, Zelda's right. Pass the SAVE Act, call the senators, not just our senators. We already have Bernie and John Husted on the record as being yes votes. We knew that would be the case. We've got to call the recalcitrant ones. We've got to call the senators from other states. And in particular, we've got to call people like John Thune and say, do not give up the ship. Fight, 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 as President Trump said with that fist in the air, every single step of the way, because the republic is in the balance. The outcome of the SAVE Act could very well determine the survival of the republic. I don't think that's an overstatement. Let's see. I know the Democrats are making phone calls and writing to senators. You better believe they are. And we better do the same thing. Absolutely right. I fear for Nick. Yeah, we already had that one. I'm kind of scrolling further now. Stroke is the cure for TDS. It's kind of funny. Not funny, but, you know, I get it. Yeah, we covered that one already, too. I really dislike defamation, but Fetterman proves liberalism is a mental disorder. Thank you, Michael Savage. Yeah, Michael Savage, Big Jake, coined that phrase decades ago, that liberalism is a mental disorder. And I have used it ever since. And I have applied it to the Fetterman case every time I talk about it. He had brain damage. He recovered from brain damage, is now more conservative in his mindset. He has recovered from the mental disorder, i.e. the brain damage, and is now a clear thinker. And it's a pretty amazing thing to see. Dems are backwards, not us, Casey John said. Nice to see Husted take a stand. Yeah, it would be. And he will. He will. And by the way, I'm going to have Senator Husted on this program probably not tomorrow, but next week. I was talking to his folks yesterday, and Senator John Husted will come on this program. He's obviously in the fight against Sherrod Brown to beat Sherrod Brown twice in a row now. Bernie get him once and Husted get him twice. Yeah, we're going to have him on. And we'll talk about whether or not he's, how active he is behind the scenes. He's certainly not as public as Senator Moreno, but, a lot of good work can be done behind the scenes. If Husted replaced Vance, he'd have been there as long as Moreno. Well, you're right. That's correct. That's not correct. I think I misspoke on that. Husted. Oh, look at that, Sharon. Another Husted comment. If I remember correctly, Husted requested his salary be withheld during the shutdown. He did, and he's not the only one. He's not the only one. There are a lot of other Republicans who said we shouldn't be paid as long as that shutdown was going on, talking about the shutdown from this past summer. But there are some who are saying, by the way, that no one should be paid until DHS workers are paid in the current partial shutdown of DHS. So I think that's correct. That's a very good point. But Senator Husted, like I said, I think he's probably doing pretty good work. In fact, I know he's doing some good work. I stay in touch with his team, but he's just not as vocal and as public on some of these committees as Senator Moreno is. And Senator Moreno truly has a gift for moving people. All right. I'm going a little hoarse here. I'm kind of running out of voice. So I'm going to go ahead and call it a morning. It is a minute after 9 o'clock now. Thank you to everybody who's in the chat. Great conversations all the way around so far this morning. And I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to chat when the show is over. And that, of course, is by way of the comment section. That's how that works. Everybody knows that by now, at least I would hope. If you are not yet in the comment section, that's because you probably haven't registered yet. So you've got to subscribe. Or at least you have to create a Rumble account to be able to comment on the Rumble pages. Let's put it that way. So if you have not yet done so, if you're just watching on Rumble, but you haven't actually put in your name and your email address, put in your name and your email address and create a password, and then you'll be a person who can actually comment, discuss, click like, click the subscribe button, the bell, the notification button, join our locals community and so forth. So please, if you're watching on Facebook right now, if you're watching on YouTube right now, I'm kind of letting those go out. But my goal is still going to be to try to migrate everybody into one place, which is the Rumble app, which is the true free speech app. And that's the reason we use it. So that's going to do it. Tomorrow, Dr. Everett Piper. Normally you get Dr. Piper on Thursdays. Tomorrow is going to be Dr. Piper for a different reason. It wasn't just a schedule change. We did a little something. We made something happen, and I think you're going to like it. That'll be happening tomorrow. And then there will be a free-for-all Friday as well. We'll update you on the SAVE Act and everything else that we were discussing today as far as legislation. We'll tell you where it goes. That's going to do it for today. Don't forget, I am still giving new video edited video from Bringing America Back to Life only to subscribers in the locals community. Then I will upload those later to the Rumble channel. So if you want to be a part of that, by all means, click join, go to our locals community for Strictly Speaking and Unfiltered, and you too can get some of that inside information. We're also going to have a new town hall meeting next week for insiders only, and we're going to have a little bit of a social gathering as well. So if you'd like to be a part of it with me and with all of us, join us in the locals community, become a supporter and Unfiltered insider, and we look forward to seeing you inside coming up very soon. All right, everybody, be well, be safe, and stay free as always. Appreciate you very much. We'll see you tomorrow.